know what they're looking at and who they're looking at. Plus, some of the dolphins are pod animals or group animals. And sometimes they split off and go in different directions and they come back together again. Same thing with whales. And they need to recognize faces. And they need to know who's who. So it's genetically programmed into their brains to be able to recognize faces. And they also have strong emotions. One of the saddest stories was a trainer out in California who was working on a scientific research program with dolphins, and how her research came to an end, and she just left. This was in the early stages of research. She just left and went on back to school and was continuing her program. Her dolphin was so emotionally attached to her that it searched and searched and searched and searched and searched the pond, or not the pond, but the pool area where they had the dolphins, and realized she wasn't, then got very depressed, realized she wasn't coming back, and smashed its head into the side of the pond from a great distance, knowing it was going to kill itself. And this happened on several other occasions, and they realized that these dolphins could become as emotionally attached to humans as we can become emotionally attached to them and to other humans. Does that mean they're smarter than cats? No. It means that genetically they are programmed differently for survival. And all souls who have a higher spiritual vibration, like dolphins, like elephants, like giraffes, like pussycats, like dogs, even wolves, have a higher spiritual vibration, and they can relate to others. I think you've heard the expression, you can't fool animals or children. That is because they see auras very clearly. If you have a parent who said to you, I think we had a caller last week whose mother encouraged her to learn about spirituality. Oh no, we had a phone conversation, a business conversation. Her mother encouraged her to learn about spirituality rather than religion, and to treat people with kindness, and my favorite word in the English language, graciousness. And so therefore she grew up open to seeing things and knowing things and being spiritually perceptive, or psychic. Not a bad word. It's a great word. Tidies things up. So higher beings can relate to each other, and they are happier with each other. Especially, for instance, on beings that are not going to commit war against us. We relate to animals who are loving and kind because they're not going to cause us harm. We're not going to cause them harm. And it's a natural, great vibration. They're not looking to get drunk and get in a car and think it's their right to drive home regardless of how many people they kill, or dogs or other kinds of animals. They don't think it's a good idea to blow somebody up. They just want to live, enjoy their lives, enjoy their families, enjoy their surroundings, and so do most of us. So you're on a higher spiritual vibration, so are the animals. They're not going to harm you, you're not going to harm them, and it's a natural blending of spirits. Okay? Do we have the caller still in line? Does that make sense to you?
It sure does.
Okay. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Do you have another question?
Not right now, thank you.
I gave you enough to think about. Is that it?
Yeah, you gave me a lot to think about.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for calling.
Okay, bye.
I volunteered at a wildlife rehab center years ago. And even if you're treating the animal with the best of care, you're bound to get scratched or nipped because that's what they do in the wild. They nip each other, they play, they roll over on top of each other. Fortunately, that never happened to me, and the only little scratches I ever got happened to be from baby raccoons that crawled up. I was sitting having a conversation with one of the owners, and she and I were engaged in conversation under a tree. It was a nice breezy day, and the baby raccoons crawled up on my shoulders and under my hair. I have long hair, and nested in there. And I didn't feel a thing. In fact, I was holding one of them. His little fanny kept slipping down. I held it on my shoulder and just conversed for about a half an hour. And they said, well, they started mewing, making little sounds, little squeaky sounds, because they needed to nurse from their mommy. And we could hear the mommy calling to them. So we tried to get the raccoons out of my hair. The raccoons didn't want, she was making all kinds of screeching sounds and squealing sounds. They didn't want to come out. They wanted mommy to come join them on my head, I guess, and be able to nurse them there. I got a couple little baby scratches because they didn't yet know how to use their little claws and little paws. And that was my only wound in 2.5 years. So whether I was working with the tigers, the Siberian tigers, or the wolves, or the, I forgot baby, the mountain lion, the Florida panther, and her letting me into her cave to see her babies. I got to tell you something, boys and girls. You have never been looked at until you have been looked at by a predator bigger than you are. And she knew me, of course, prior to her giving birth. And I knelt down to come into the cave area because I was invited to do so, and I trusted the man who knew what he was doing. And she jumped up, looked me right in the eyes. She could have eaten me. Right in the eyes, and rubbed her face all over my face and my neck and my chest, my underarms. She was scent marking me and letting me know it was okay to touch her babies. Never once was I harmed. She pushed the first baby towards me with her nuzzle, picked up the teeny little squawking thing. On the Glades, by the way, which is on A&E, they had a Florida panther chasing 2 people. It was a cub. I'll tell you how I know that. It still had its spots. Baby pumas, Florida panthers, cougars, mountain lions give birth to babies with spots. While they're still babies, they got their spots. And this cat had its spots. So it wasn't going to eat anyone. And plus, they're specially trained. They get them from reserves. So I was very lucky, and I had a fabulous relationship, especially with a snow leopard. Some idiot was raising snow leopards, and we got one of them who was deathly ill. I mean deathly ill. The vet made them sign a release. But we brought her back, and it was a wonderful, beautiful experience. And you have no idea what it's like to hold a tiger's face, a wolf's face, a snow leopard's face. And snow leopards and cheetahs, by the way, do not feed on humans. And have that animal exchange soul energies with you, third eye to third eye. That is a gift from the universe that I will never forget. And I had a wonderful dolphin experience that I'll never forget, and I hope I get a chance to tell you about it, because we've got a lot more things to cover right here with Linda Bennett, Metaphysically Speaking, and we're coming right back after these words.